Good morning. Thanks for coming. And yeah, thanks for the welcome, Daniel. To Daniel and to Paul, who actually got me here. And many thanks to Mark, who just drove very sensibly from the airport to get me here on time. So it's very good. I forgot to ask Daniel, how long have I got? About. Okay. Yeah, certainly will.
And you can also go to Ning and post your questions in the Ning. There is a session for...
Yeah, and I'll be in there. So, all right, so I'm here to talk about Moodle. So just as a quick run around, who has used Moodle in any way as a student, teacher? Fantastic. So I'm talking to the converted, which is a good thing. And yeah, no, I'll leave it there. So what I've done, the presentation I was just doing this morning, just talking about the past, present, future of Moodle. So I was trying to cover the past, just talking about what Moodle is, for those who don't know, and its background, how it's presently running, so just some statistics about that, and then we're looking at the future, what's coming up in Moodle, and so we have a roadmap that's set out about what's coming up, so I'll go through that as well. So let me fly through this. I'm hoping my slides work, because I was actually fixing them about 3 hours ago on a plane, and haven't really tested them, so this will be very exciting. First, a quick introduction about me. So it's all about me. I have a background in, I actually studied science degree at the University of Western Australia. And did applied mathematics, information technology and physics, but what do you do with that? So what everyone does with one of those degrees, they go and do an education degree. Now so I was a qualified maths, physics and computing studies teacher. Did an honours degree as well actually, so did do a dissertation on something really irrelevant. I went out and taught, so I was actually a teacher at a couple of high schools. Did teach at, I don't know, the equivalent to TAFEs, if you've got them here, like technical institutions or something like that, so I was a lecturer there. I did work at Curtin University as a researcher as well. End of the day, I'm a developer nerd, my wife calls me, and I worked on various projects as a developer. That kind of actually got me into Moodle. I'll talk about that in a minute. Pukenui Technology is our company. For those who want to know, Pukenui is a Maori word. My father's a Maori, so from New Zealand. It actually means big belly, so there you go. Just a funny name. As I was growing up, my father was growing out, so that's the nickname I gave him. I thought, no, that'll do as a business name. We do education kind of technologies, what we focus on, and primarily Moodle is actually what we do. We do work with Mahara partners as well. Actually, probably see at the top right. We're official Moodle partners and official Mahara partners as well. And so we mainly deal with education institutions. And probably my biggest role in life, I have to put them up, husband and father, my 3 girls. So yeah, it's really all about them. So, that's who I am. So the question is, what are we doing here? And so just an outline of what I want to cover this morning. So as I said, just want to talk about the past, so where Moodle's come from, a definition of what Moodle is. A lot of people actually don't know the background to Moodle and how it came about. So its origins, just that there is a pedagogy underlying Moodle as well, which is very important. Just some interesting facts about Moodle location, the HQ. Present, I'll just look at the community, some statistics around that. And yeah, I'll look at that. And I'll talk about the economy of Moodle, so how Moodle actually does make money. For those who aren't aware, Moodle is open source software, it's free, but there is actually a whole business model that sits underneath it. And then what's coming up in the future versions of Moodle. So we actually have a roadmap, it's all published, anyone can read it. So I'll talk about some of the new features that are coming up in the new Moodle 2, which is very exciting. So let me get into this. Might slow my talking down, might race through this at this rate. Where did the word Moodle come from? Okay, so the official version is that it's an acronym. Now, does anyone want to hazard a guess? Does anyone know what Moodle stands for? From
modular object-oriented.
Yeah. Sorry, that's it.
Learning environment.
That's the one.
Learning environment.
I'm impressed. Yeah, so that's it. So the modular, object-oriented, dynamic learning environment. And there are some important concepts in that about what it is. And honestly, I just don't have time to go through that today. But it does kind of encapsulate what it is. And really, the definition is interesting to people who are in education or developers. Either way, it's probably interesting, some of those concepts behind it. However, that said, let me give you the real version of how Martin, who created Moodle, how he came up with the name. He had 3 criteria. One, he could use it as an acronym, which I call it a backronym because he actually came up with that later. The other one was a memorable word that people would just remember, and finally that the domain names are free on the internet. So that he could register Moodle.org, Moodle.com. So that was his original criteria for finding a name for this software. So there you go. They'll probably kill me for telling everyone that. So moving on. So what is Moodle? It's a big square, all right. What is Moodle? There's a lot of definitions for this. So it is a course management system, and that's kind of Martin's favourite term for what Moodle is. It's about managing courses. A lot of people call it a learning management system, an LMS, or a virtual learning environment. They're really big on that term in the UK, where it's actually used in quite a lot of primary schools there. It really doesn't matter what term you use, but you know, there's kind of similar concepts between all of those. Martin tends to go for course management system because it's very course-centric, creating courses and delivering content and activities and things online. The way Moodle's built, it sits on core code. So Martin deals with the core code. Above that, there's modules and plugins that you can add to that site. So Moodle ships when you download Moodle. You have a standard set of modules, activity modules, and other plugins like blocks. And for those who've used Moodle, you know what I'm talking about. There's filter plugins, themes, and so on. So it ships with the standard set of plugins that you can get. But you can add extra ones to it if you want to. So it makes it very adaptable to whatever learning environment that you're working in.